Hello, my name is Ben Alexander and I have autism. And today I'm going to give you a motivational message, purpose in the pain. So that's probably one of the questions I struggle with on a daily basis. What's the purpose of all this pain? What's the purpose of all this suffering and injustice and evil that we see in the world? It's a tough question. I definitely hope heaven, I hope the next world's better than this world, in heaven, That's one of the things I definitely put my faith in, is that God is going to reward faithfulness to Him. I think that's part of the reason why there is so much pain in this world, is because people have just forgotten how it is to just love people. They've forgotten how it is to love somebody other than themselves. And I want you to love yourself too, but you should also love everybody. I think that's kind of been caught up in the mess as well. That's why pain is so existent. That's why pain continues to reign. It's because people, all they want to do is promote their own agendas. They don't care about the other person. They think that they can just take advantage of people and be fine and sleep at night. If I did some of the things like take advantage of a person, stole from a person, if I did those things, I couldn't sleep at night. I don't know how you could. That's just me. Maybe I care about other people's well-being. Am I the only one? I know I'm not. I know there's plenty of people who care about other people's well-being, but I think pain comes when people take advantage of other people. I think that's a type of pain. And other pain is just, human life. I mean, cancer, sickness, that's another pain, but that is nobody's fault. It just happens. And it's sad. It really is sad. I mean, it's part of life where, and then death, somebody dying, one of your friends, one of your family members, maybe your significant other died. I don't know. I don't know your life, but just trying to figure out somebody in your life that has died, I think that's another type of pain. There's grief, and I mean, there's a lot of counseling as well. At the end of the day, I think it's important to find ways to find purpose in the pain. I think that separates happy people from miserable people. People find purpose in the pain, and they're all right with pain because they realize that there's a purpose in it. While miserable people are just like, there's no purpose. What's the purpose of this? And I'll be fair, I've fallen in the miserable category where it's like I've questioned what's the purpose of this. But I do think eventually, I hope as I get older, the more I'll understand that there's a purpose in the pain. And I struggle with this all the time. Like, it's like, what's the purpose of all this suffering? Like, what's the purpose of all this? I just hope eventually it can be seen as a good thing. Like, I can get through the mountains and the valleys, the highs and the lows. That's the type of thing that I'm looking for right now, is just going through the ups and downs, mountains and valleys, or I guess it's hills and valleys, technically speaking, but mountains and valleys, I guess, work too, but I think it's hills and valleys. So, but yeah, I still struggle with a bunch of stuff. Like I said, I got a lot of anxiety, depression, I'm unemployed right now trying to figure out my next steps. Good news is I got some good job prospects this week. There's a job I really want that I'm really, really excited about, like legitimately really, really excited about. I'm going to see how that works out. Like I said, there's opportunities that I have in front of me. I'm very excited to kind of see what's next in my life because I'll be honest, I don't know what's next. I wish I had an idea. I don't know what God wants to do in my life. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's faith that like I said, I think in high school, like before high school, I really didn't need, like, my faith really was a challenge till high school when things started to get kind of bad. I was like, what's next? Oh boy, I'm an adult. I got to figure out my life now. I think that's part of my anxiety is like, this part of life is like, I got to figure something out. I got to have a plan. I got to have a way to pay bills. I got to get a way to find a good career that's going to help me eventually support myself. I mean, I'm thankful for my parents allowing me to live with them for the time being, but I definitely would like to make some cash and make a good career and then, find a place to move out. That's kind of the goal. And, I think and maybe this is just me being before this happens, but it's like, what happens if I got this and I worked hard for it and again, I'm working hard towards it. I'm trying to do everything I can, but at the same time, you just get to a point in life where it's just tiring. You hit your end, you're burnout, but, I think burnout doesn't necessarily have to mean work, necessarily. Burnout, emotional burnout, where it's like you're just so tired of carrying all your emotions and weights, your chains, your sins, your burdens. You're just so tired of carrying that. And I pray to God that that Jesus can set me free for that. Because I'm really, really struggling right now. And I know not everybody is Christian, but if you don't know already, I go to church all the time. My family's Christian and religious, and I'm very well wanting Jesus in my life. Like, I'm open to his heart, but at the same time, I'm so far from perfect, and the standards that are laid out for the Bible, it's like, this is impossible. And then those standards end up pushing me down. And maybe God had the purpose for all this pain. That's part of what I'm thinking. And again, I think resilience is a great teacher as well. I think being resilient and just being like, okay, what's the purpose of the pain, There's a lot of people that have incredible stories where it's like people have gone through very tough times and gotten out of it. So I think those type of stories keep you encouraged. It's like, maybe it's me that can get out of it. Maybe I can get out of it and tell my story to other people. I mean, that's kind of the goal I want. And I think that's a purpose of pain too, is, you can tell your story and help others. Like I said, I've said in a couple weeks, talking about why we're here is to serve others the only purpose we're here on earth is just to serve other people. I mean, does that mean we should allow others to take advantage of us or influence our thinking? No. I would think that just listening to other people and considering their ideas is important, and not jumping to conclusions and not thinking you're right. Pride and ego. That's kind of a human struggle, is pride and ego, where you think, oh, this is the 100% way, I cannot be wrong on this. And you don't open yourself to disagreements. And huge problem. Huge, huge, huge problem. And I think your ego can cause so much pain, especially when you don't get it and you're wrong, thinking that you're right. When you think you're right and then it turns out you're wrong, it hurts. That's why keeping your ego in check is incredibly important, because the ego can lead to lots of pain. And we've all made mistakes before, for sure. We've made mistakes as kids to adults. We never stop making mistakes. But, we could fail forward, like you make mistakes and learn from them and try to use this as motivation to kind of encourage you. Like, especially when you learn from that mistake, it's like, wow, look at this. I can do it. I can actually not make that mistake again. And I think part of it's confidence too. It's like, I'm not going to let the pain take away the confidence that I have. Don't, and it's hard for me because pain just is a confidence killer for me. But and again, I'm telling myself this is as much for you as it is for me. My motivational messages, you want to be able to realize that your pain cannot destroy your confidence. Because when the pain steals your confidence, you're in a lot of trouble. I mean, a lot of trouble. And unfortunately, I don't think society does a good job of teaching people good emotional regulations. It's either punch another person, get violent, yell and scream at a person. Emotional regulation's not very good in this country. And even receiving bad news, like the emotions that come from that, even when you receive bad news, keep your emotions in check. I think and it's hard to do. Let's be honest. When everybody's received bad news, it's like, you tend to react and do things you probably shouldn't do, or am I just the only one? But, I think we've lost a little bit of that touch. I mean, growing up in the 2000s, I felt like people were more emotionally controlled than they are today. And I think, there's political differences that are different too. I think the political atmosphere has gotten worse. I mean, you could say the rise of the internet, and, that's not you could point to those as arguments as why society's kind of gotten crumbled. But I think it's human sin. And it's like, the internet is an object. It's the people on the internet that end up, whether it's content creators or, commenters or, people, fans of your, people engaging with you basically, like the fans. Those are the type of things that really make the internet. It's the people, when the internet's good and it's positive, people are going to get the credit. When it's going bad, people get the blame. That's just how the world works. Yeah, I mean, people are responsible for their own choices, and when people make poor choices on the internet, it leads to disastrous costs. It leads to disastrous results. And same with life. Like, it doesn't have to be on the internet, too. It could be outside the internet. And we've been fighting that since the beginning of time, where people's mistakes, I mean, you think of all the ancient societies that fell and crumbled and got destroyed. They made a lot of mistakes along the way that screwed themselves over. And it's just, people make a lot of bad mistakes, and it's easy to do. But it's like, but at that point, it's like, and the painful memories and just the guilt you have for all those mistakes. And the guilt just eats at you and eats at you and eats at you and eats at you. It's hard to function when you have guilt that just eats at you. But, go to a counselor, go to a church, go to somewhere that will help you. I'm just going to say, and you're the only one that can decide that. I can't decide that. I'm not going to say, here's advice. I mean, I'll give you advice, what I think could help, but you got to decide what's best for you, Is there something you're trying to avoid? Is there some type of problem you're not wanting to admit? I mean, could that be an issue too? And again, I'm not going to come across as somebody that's going to be a jerk about your life, because it's not the purpose of this channel. The purpose of the channel is actually to give people a positive outlook in life, because good gravy, I need a positive outlook in life. And just dreaming of the things that we could be as a society if we just put away our egos and we actually think about what's best for each other. And unfortunately, there's so much corruption and greed in the world. It's really sad. But I do eventually think things will be all right. And I think that's the message, is just everything's going to be all right. It's painful right now, and I believe the purpose of the pain is so we can learn lots of great lessons in life. And what about you? What do you think the purpose of pain is? Let me know in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching to the end of my video. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.